Welcome to Financial Empires, a channel where history, money, and power meet. In this documentary, we explore a truth that is rarely explained clearly. The United States of America, the world's most powerful economic force, was not built on savings or gold alone. It was built on debt. From its very birth, debt was not an accident for America. It was a deliberate tool, a calculated strategy, and eventually the backbone of its rise as a global financial empire. Before America became a nation, it was a collection of British colonies with limited economic independence. These colonies had no central bank, no unified currency, and no strong financial institutions. Trade depended heavily on Britain, and wealth was unevenly distributed. When the colonies decided to fight for independence, they faced a problem more dangerous than the British Army. They had no money to fund a war. The American Revolution was financed largely through borrowing. The Continental Congress issued paper money that quickly lost value. Loans were taken from foreign allies, especially France and the Netherlands. Supplies, weapons, and soldiers were paid for with promises rather than real assets. By the time independence was achieved, the new nation was free politically but deeply burdened financially. America was born in debt. After independence, the young country faced a critical decision. Many believed the national debt should be eliminated as quickly as possible. Others feared that unpaid debts would destroy international trust. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, introduced a radical idea. He argued that national debt, if properly managed, could be a source of strength rather than weakness. By honoring debts and consolidating them at the federal level, the government could build credibility, unify the states, and attract investment. Hamilton's financial system created a permanent national debt. The federal government assumed state debts, established a national bank, and encouraged lending. This was a turning point. Debt became institutionalized. Credit became central to economic growth. Trust in government bonds laid the foundation for modern American finance. This system did not eliminate risk, but it created stability and confidence, which were more valuable than gold at the time. As America expanded westward, debt followed. Railroads were built using borrowed money from domestic and foreign investors. Land development, factories, and infrastructure projects depended heavily on credit. Banks grew in power, and speculation became common. Economic booms were often fueled by easy borrowing, while busts followed periods of excessive risk. Debt was no longer just a government issue. It became part of everyday economic life. The 19th century saw repeated financial crises, including the panics of 1819, 1837, and 1873. Each crisis revealed the dangers of overborrowing, yet none led America to abandon debt. Instead, financial systems were restructured, regulations adjusted, and credit expanded again. The lesson America learned was not to avoid debt, but to survive it and grow beyond it. The Civil War marked another major expansion of American debt. To finance the war, the government issued bonds and introduced paper currency known as greenbacks. For the first time, money was backed primarily by government authority rather than gold. This shift increased the government's ability to spend, but also tied the economy more closely to debt and inflation. When the war ended, America emerged more unified and industrialized, but also more dependent on borrowing. By the early 20th century, the United States had become a rising industrial power. Banks, corporations, and markets expanded rapidly. Consumer credit became common. People borrowed to buy homes, start businesses, and invest in stocks. Debt was no longer seen as shameful. It was seen as opportunity. This mindset fueled growth, but it also created vulnerability. The Great Depression exposed the dark side of debt-driven growth. Excessive borrowing, weak regulation, and market speculation led to a massive collapse. Banks failed, unemployment soared, and confidence disappeared. The response was not to abandon debt, but to control it. The government expanded its role in the economy, increased spending, and borrowed heavily to stimulate recovery. This marked the beginning of modern deficit spending. World War II transformed America's financial position completely. The war was funded through unprecedented levels of government borrowing. When the war ended, much of Europe was destroyed while America's industry remained intact. The United States became the world's largest creditor and economic leader. The dollar was positioned at the center of the global financial system through the Bretton Woods Agreement. Debt, once a weakness, had become a tool of dominance. In the post-war era, America continued to grow through borrowing. Infrastructure projects, education programs, and social services were funded through deficits. The Cold War further expanded military spending and debt. At the same time, consumer culture exploded. Credit cards, mortgages, and loans became normal parts of life. Economic growth was increasingly tied to borrowing and spending. In 1971, the United States ended the gold standard, fully disconnecting the dollar from gold. From that moment, American money was backed by trust rather than physical assets. This gave the government unlimited borrowing flexibility. National debt grew steadily, but so did global reliance on the dollar. Other countries held U.S. debt as reserves, reinforcing America's financial power. Financial crises continued, including the 2008 global financial crisis. Again, the solution was massive borrowing. Trillions of dollars were created to stabilize markets and save institutions. The national debt reached historic levels, yet demand for U.S. bonds remained strong. The world continued to trust America's promises. Today, the United States carries the largest national debt in history. Critics warn of collapse, inflation, and loss of confidence. Supporters argue that debt is sustainable as long as growth, innovation, and global trust continue. The truth lies somewhere in between. Debt has allowed America to grow faster, respond to crises, and project power. It has also created inequality, dependency, and long-term risk. America was not built despite debt. It was built through debt. Borrowing financed wars, expansion, innovation, and global leadership. Debt became a system, not a mistake. Whether this system can continue forever is an open question, but its role in building the American financial empire cannot be denied. If this story changed how you see money, power, and history, then this is exactly why financial empires exists. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with those who want to understand how the world truly works. Here, we do not just study wealth. We study the systems that create it, control it, and shape the future.